Folks, the G.I. Joe Classified Series collection has grown once again at MoDXtra Games and Collectibles Tower, and in today's video, I'm going to show you the latest pre-order to arrive, the Alley VIPER. And here we go, here is the G.I. Joe Classified Alley VIPER. I've always been a fan of the packaging here. I like the window showing off all the lovely goodies and accessories that come with the figure. This kind of cartoony artwork that they've chosen to put on the front here with these lovely little kind of character vignettes that they do on the packaging. I really like the style of that, like a kind of poster print sort of thing going on. So there we are, there's a look at the front. You can see the figure and all the goodies that come with it. Let's have a look at the back. And the back, rather unsurprisingly, comes with the standard kind of G.I. Joe marketing poster thing and all the legal malarkey that they have always come with. On the side here, closer look at the kind of poster print style image of the Alley VIPER. I love this little Cobra Commander they've got down the bottom there. I like that. That's kind of sweet. That'd make a nice little emoji. I'll look into that. And then on the other side, you've got the Alley VIPER data card that you can cross-reference against the G.I. Joe website, and it's number 34 in the line. So let's get this open, shall we? Slide that out. Woo! Bit of paperwork. And there is the Alley VIPER in the blister pack. Another Cobra backing on that. I mean, wow. Look at that. That's almost overwhelmingly just... I mean, look at it. How much stuff. Amazing. So we've got all these weapons taped in around the side. Got like a... obviously a removable magazine there. A rifle. Let's take this tape off. Got another kind of rifle here. Snub-nosed pistol. Little kind of bayonet knife thing. Like a grappling hook. Then like a little submachine gun rifle with a rather large scope on it. Does that come out of there as well? Yes, it does. Removable magazine. Got the backpack. Got the visor. Got the shield. Oh, yeah, nice. And then the Alley... Oh, hang on. There's a second little bayonet knife in there. Where did that just come from? And then the Alley VIPER himself. I mean, look at that. Look at that. When you compare that to like a Marvel Legends or a Black Series where you get like that with it, that's really, really darn impressive. What a good looking figure that is. Right, okay, here we go then. Here is the Cobra Alley VIPER in all his covert glory. He's been unboxed. It's been a couple of days now since I recorded the unpacking section of the video that you've just watched. I've been away, usual routine, really standard for me. Been away, posed him up, had a play, got him next to some of my other G.I. Joe classified figures, the Cobras, the Joes, and just generally had a merry old time with him. So I'm about ready to share some thoughts, so we'll get into the review now. I'm going to follow the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles 3 A's, which are the aesthetic, the articulation, and the accessories. So we'll have a talk about how he looks, then move into the movement and how he feels, and then finish up with an overview of the accessories. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so clearly the first thing that stands out, the first thing that strikes you with the Alley VIPER figure is the colour scheme. The orange uniform with the bluey-grey camouflage patches across it. And, I mean, it's dumb as shit, let's face facts, that there is no theatre of war where I can see a colour scheme of this nature for your camouflage being beneficial in any way. You know, you're not sneaking through the underbrush or hiding around corners in some kind of urban combat situation where this is a useful colour scheme. I'm pretty sure I saw on it would have been the G.I. Joe Classified Collectors UK Facebook page that someone pointed out that there was a lore explanation for this totally random colour scheme that the Alley VIPERs are in, that it was psychological warfare, that when your opponent saw you dressed in this manner with this blatant disregard for actual camouflage activity, you would imagine that they were so confident, so overwhelmingly skilled and talented that they just didn't care. They didn't care if they were that visible. So, I don't know. But clearly, it's accurate to the way the Ali Viper figure looked and felt from the classic 80s image of the Ali Viper. You know, it's the colour scheme is the same. It's obviously a contemporary sort of modern reinterpretation as the G.I. Joe classified figures are. And from an action figure collector point of view, the orange colour scheme is really great, actually, because it gives the Ali Viper just loads of shelf presence. It's really vivid, very eye-catching, and in the colour palette of the G.I. Joe classified range, which is something I've criticised before. You know, I've found the kind of selection of military colours a little bit drab and blending. The orange just leaps off the shelf. You know, it's very, very eye-catching. So, yeah, it may present questions about the feasibility and the realistic nature of the colour scheme, but in terms of an action figure, the orange is great, really pops. So that's the first thing that strikes you, and that's my first note on the figure. Bringing him in a bit closer, we can see that the Ali Viper has maintained the standard we've come to expect with G.I. Joe Classified when it comes to the look and feel of the figures. Lots of nice touches and finer details there, really, to give it some depth, bring the figure to life, and tell the story of the Ali Viper, if you will. So you got all your little pouches, and there's straps and buckles and armoured sections, lots of texture in there as well. I love it when there's a bit of texture, like on the face mask here underneath the visor, or you can see the texture in the top of the trouser legs here on his fatigues. There's these padded sections here on the wrist, got all this texture just on the inside of the armor plate there with the zip up the middle. So really lovely. I love that aspect of the G.I. Joe classified figures, that they've kind of acknowledged that, for example, the fabrics that these things would be made out of. We've also got the visor here. This comes in the accessory collection, but I've attached it to the figure. It's got two holes on either side of the figure that joins with some pegs on the side of his head. And as you can see, this has got a bit of movement there to bring it down, this sort of armoured visor. And there's some lovely details you can see here, like we've got this little symbol. I don't know what this symbol is. I think that's maybe like his computerized camera vision bit. Then you got like the Cobra symbol on his forehead there. All lovely little touches that once again break up the colour a little bit, but also add to that finer detail experience with the Ali Viper figure. I just wanted to focus in on this body armor piece, actually, which is a separate piece over the top of the figure, because there's lots of little elements in here that add to that finer detail experience and really give it some texture and depth. Little things like the carabiner clips here that have been clipped onto his belt, the little D-clips, nice neat paint app job, and then you got all the straps all painted in black, showing how it's all clipping together and holding on. We've got this firm piece here protecting the lads down there. That's a nice little touch, and it's got this little moulded section just to give it some personality. You've got the brown little knife sheath at the top there, and then if I spin it around and have a look at the back, you can see all these extra little bits of detail, like the can you see the creases and the pattern in the base of the back in the lumbar there, the little strap, again showing how he tightens his armour up. And what I love about G.I. Joe Classified is the fact that even though this bit on the back is going to be covered by the backpack, which I'll show you in the accessories section, they still made sure they've maintained that level of detail. Now, one aspect of the figure that I think G.I. Joe Classified have been really smashing out the park lately has been the heads and the face sculpts. I mean, with this figure here, all you can really see is the eyes through the eye holes in the face mask he's wearing underneath his helmet there. But look at the detailed paint job on the eyes is spot on. A really, really great piece of work there. But it's also selling the story of the Ali Viper. I mean, he just looks like a battle-hardened, focused soldier who's, seen some shit in his time. And the eyes are really selling that. I also love some of the finer detail. There's texture in the face mask. I love these two little snake teeth across the chin section of the helmet, which then doubles up with the visor. So when the visor's up, it looks like, the open mouth of a cobra about to bite you. Just lovely touches and details. And then things like these. See these here? The little, the two little studs in the helmet there, and the sculpt of it. Yeah, the headwork. Well done, Hasbro, your G.I. Joe classified headwork is on point. Much the same story with the legs too. You can see the texture in the trousers and in the knee pads here. If I turn it to the side, you can really sort of see the texture, the fabric texture in the legs. The boots look suitably leathery. There's a little splash of colour with the brown shin guards, and they also have a nice kind of leathery look and feel to them as well, with a few knocks and scrapes to show that he's been in action. You've got the thigh holster here in the black mould, and then a little bit of, I think it's like some extra pouches and pockets there, I think is what that's supposed to be, or maybe some thigh armour to protect from shots from the side, I don't know. But what it does is it frames up the figure, gives it a splash of colour, although one criticism is this shin guard here. It's not lined up straight on the leg. If you look at this leg here where it's straight to the front, it's slightly off and to the right, which I thought I had a defective one at first, but somebody mentioned it again on the Facebook page, and they called him Wonky Shins, and, well, yeah, turns out that's a thing, so I don't know what that's all about, but it definitely affects the look. Your eyes are sometimes drawn to that because it looks a bit uncanny and not right when he's in poses, so yeah, a little unhappy with that element of the sculpt. However, overall, talking about the texture, yeah, spot on. So yeah, there we go. Good looking figure. All good so far, despite how ridiculous his camouflage colour choices are. Let's now talk about the articulation, and I'm going to start with the head. So the articulation here above the shoulders is pretty standard for G.I. Joe Classified, to be honest. The head's on a ball joint, and there's a neck hinge as well, which means you've got some pretty good up. There we go. We've got some down. There we are. And then you've got your full swivel and tilt and all this kind of lovely motion here in the head area. There's a bit of movement at the base of the neck as well, which can really enhance your experience if you're a photographer, for example, looking to get him into some more ambitious poses. Getting into the arms now then, there is a butterfly joint on the shoulders there, but it's not very flexible. I don't know if that's just mine being a bit tight out the box, but the body armour is also restricting the movement there a little touch. The shoulders do come up, bit of a droopy T there, and then you've got the standard arm articulation that we've seen with G.I. Joe Classified figures before, where it goes all the way round. Got some swivel there at the top of the bicep and tricep. Got the double elbow in there, and then the hands can swivel around on the wrists. This side, the right hand side, has also got the hinge in it to tilt back and forth. One little note on the arms though, I'm just going to chuck this in now. This knife sheath on his wrist is a pain in the ass. It's been annoying me. I will be, as soon as this video is done, popping that hand and taking that off because it just gets in the way. I find it to be a fidget and a fiddle, and that's not really articulation related, but while I'm in this section of the figure, I'm going to point it out. The torso is definitely an area where the articulation on the figure is let down. I suspect underneath this top piece of body armour there's the usual ab crunch, but because of the way the body armour fits on the figure, there's just nothing there. No options with regards to the ab crunch, so there's very little waist movement, very little torso movement. He's not so strong on that front, I'm afraid. Getting down below the waist then into the legs, we've got the standard G.I. Joe drop down ball joint here, so there's lots of motion in the legs. Good forward, good back, kick out to the side, all nice, and that's the same on both sides. We've got the thigh swivel here at the top of the thigh. Ooh, you're a bit sticky, but there you go. There's also the double knee all the way back like that, and further down you can see that there's a swivel at the top of the boot, and the feet have got good forward, good back, and it's on a ball joint, so there's some swivel as well to really help out with your posing. Let's get into the accessories that come with the Alley Viper then, and as you saw in the unboxing section of the video, there's an absolute embarrassment of riches that come with him. Let's start with one of the main features of the figure, which is the arm shield here. A big part of the Alley Viper character, a callback to the arm shield that they carried back in the day in the 80s. And you can see this is a lovely sculpt on the shield. We've got the Cobra logo here on the front, with some moulded sections in that have been bolted on to really sell the armor story of the shield. We've got the same color scheme with the blue camouflage pattern, and the colors match up well, which is nice, and it's got a nice curious shape as well to give it a bit of character and personality. If I flip it around, you'll see that the detail that sells the armor story continues. We've got this little, I don't know, like electronic computer scanner thing going on there as well, which is nice. The way it fits on the arm suite too, this is on a swivel, so you've got a bit of range of motion there to help you out with posing while he's carrying the shield, and you can kind of put it through that way or that way. I'll put it on that arm in a second. So yeah, really happy with the shield, and gives you some nice kind of little diorama posing options. I found it best to pop the hand out to slide the shield on, to be honest. The second strap here on the outer edge of the shield is smaller than this one, and it's a bit of a squeeze across the thumb of the figure, so I've been just popping it out there. Let me just put this hand back in. There we go, just pop that back in off camera. Needed to put a bit of heft behind it, but as you can see, the swivel there gives you a lot of options and flexibilities, and it fits quite neatly. The fact that we've got a larger loop on this side and a smaller loop on that side makes the fit a lot better. And you can obviously, use that swivel to have it across him like this or in front of him like that, giving you nice kind of tactical posing options. Yeah, it's been quite fun playing around with this arm shield. The Alley Viper as well is one tooled up dude. He's got two knives, both of which have little knife storage sheaths about his person. One on the body armor chest here, and one on his wrist here, on the fiddly annoying one. He's then got the classic G.I. Joe snub-nosed pistol, which has a holster on his right thigh. A nice snug fit there, no falling out. Then there's an assault rifle here, which is in the black mould. It's just kind of plain black plastic mould. I do wish they'd have a bit more of a metallic look sometimes, but it's a good sculpt with a scope on it and detail in the grips and such like. One nice touch as well is the magazine is removable. So if you want to do some posing, showing him reloading, you can do. And I like that it's a more contemporary look. The Nerf rifles are gone. And that fits as standard into either of his trigger fingers on your hand of choice. Oopsie daisy, there we go. Then he's got this smaller rifle, or maybe a submachine gun here. If it is a submachine gun, he's got a really long scope on it. But this is a nice sculpt as well, an interesting shape. He's got the front grip hand here. And the magazine's also removable on this one. There we go. There's also nowhere to store either of these rifles when one's not in use. So whichever one you've got in his grip, of course, is in use, but then there's not anywhere to store the one that isn't, which is a little unusual for G.I. Joe Classified. There's usually somewhere to put stuff, but there's nowhere that I can see on the backpack for the whichever rifle's not in use. This front handle here as well is something that reminds me of one of my little gripes about G.I. Joe Classified. One of the things I've always wished for is swappable hands. They come with trigger finger hands on both sides. So when you've got a gun like this with a handle on the front, it doesn't stand out as much. But when you've got something like a rifle and you want to place the hand underneath, what's that bit at the front called, under the barrel? I'm not a firearms guy, but you know what I mean. I just wish there was a bit more of a kind of palmy, grippy hand to hold the front. So when you've got guns like this with a handle, it kind of helps out, makes it look a bit more natural compared to, say, this one, where I'd like a kind of open palm hand to hold onto the front here. And then we have this, like a grappling hook launcher. The grappling hook pops out, like so, from the barrel. There is a couple of little loops here if you want to attach some string to it, if you were so inclined, which is quite nice. A third weapon there in the Alley Viper selection. No, correction, sixth if you count the two knives and the handgun, of course. And then we have the backpack here, which is all one sculpt in the black, which is a little disappointing. But it's got lots of lovely little details, like the Cobra symbol at the top here, the hand grenades at the bottom there, whatever this weird thing is here. So it looks like a cooling system, I don't know. But what's nice about the backpack as well is it gives you a little storage spot for the grappling hook there, like that. And it fits nice and snugly into the peg hole on his back there, like that. Not a lot of movement. No chance of that falling out unintended. Well, here we go then. Here is the Alley Viper. I've kind of put a bit of an accessory selection on him, and this is the type of pose that I've had him on the shelf in. So, a lot of energy, good dynamic character, got loads going for him. Although I have to confess, he's not been my most favourite G.I. Joe classified figure to date, if I'm being honest. I'm not sure what it is. Like I said before, he's got a lot of shelf presence. There's an absolute wealth of accessories with him, which tons of added value there. I think just he's a bit fiddlier when it comes to posing. The body armor and the shield just makes it a little bit more of a faff, I think, to get him into positions that I'd like to see him in, which has maybe made me gravitate to him less. However, that said, we're talking about the high standard that I consider the G.I. Joe classified figures to be. So this is like, super high standard here, and he's like a bit down here compared to the others. I just generally find myself reaching for the Cobra Viper or the Bat a lot more out of my Cobra sort of soldier range when I'm, putting them into action with Lady J or Beachhead or something. But still, a great piece to have in the collection. I am glad to own him. I think there's a lot going for it. It just, for some reason that I can't quite articulate, it's not fully captured my imagination as much as others, but I'm being overcritical because it's G.I. Joe classified. So I'd certainly recommend it. I'd absolutely recommend it, although I'd probably pick up a Bat before I picked up an Alley Viper. If you're out there thinking about which one to get, that's the way I'd go. So there we are then, folks. There is my Alley Viper review. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me today looking over the figure and found this useful. If you are trying to make your mind up as to whether you want to pick up an Alley Viper, I hope I've helped you make your decision. If you've enjoyed what you've seen today, then please do take the time to give this video a like. It only takes you guys a second, but it means ever so much for me, and it helps me know I'm going in the right direction. And if you're not subscribed, which I suspect you're not, my stats tell me many of you aren't, then please do take a minute to subscribe to the channel. MoDXtra Games and Collectibles is all about this man-child nerd who's got money of his own, who just keeps filling his house with all sorts of random plastic crap. And we do board games, we do action figures, we do trading cards, we do collectible card games, comic books, you name it. If I can collect it, I'll collect it and make videos about it, basically. So if you are like me and you worship at the broad church of nerddom and you'll appreciate that variety, then perhaps this is the channel for you. All right then, folks, well, that concludes my Alley Viper review. That's a thumbs up recommends from me, with a few small prints and caveats. I hope to see you around these parts again sometime soon. See you later, folks.